Nole Nation, welcome in to another episode of the Renegade Report Rundown, your go-to Florida State football and recruiting podcast. Got my girl in here with me, my beautiful co-host, as always, Jen Santee. That is at Jen Santee 1890 on X. If you want to go find her, all her awesome stuff she has on there, cut-ups, cutting the rivals to pieces. Guys, it's early signing period eve. Man, Twitter, Facebook, social media, man, it's an absolute nightmare out there. We did the episode where we talked about is the sky falling. We tried to calm Florida State Nation down, but man, Jen, people are losing it out there. How are we feeling?
Well, I don't know. I think for me, I'm feeling pretty good because I think that no matter what happens, I think this staff is going to have a backup plan. But things happen. So I guess we'll just see. I'm still feeling pretty good. I know there are some people who are freaking out, but I'm feeling pretty good. But I'm trying to keep you calm, George. That's what I'm here to do.
Yeah, I saw you sent out a tweet saying something about I tried to calm everybody down, but they're back in full meltdown mode.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Well, look, there's a lot of smoke out there, guys. One of the biggest names, the first name you see, the first picture you see on the thumbnail is Jeremiah Smith out of Chaminade Madonna High School. Miami thought they were making a run late. A lot of rumors out there. If you pay attention to us, we said don't pay attention to it. It's a bunch of bullshit. Probably Ohio State, Florida State race like it's always been. He's either going to stay there or Brian Hartline, or we have a real shot to get him. He's been on campus 15 times. You all know I put in a prediction here a couple weeks ago. Jen has been not so confident. I think she was maybe in the 20 or 30% range, but I think she may have swayed. I think she may have been on the phone all day the past couple of days. How are you feeling on Jeremiah Smith, Jen?
So I'm still not willing to flip it to 51% like for Florida State, but I would say I've gone from being 25 to 30 to maybe being 48.
48.
Which is good
okay.
for me.
We're getting
That's
there.
good for me. That's good for me. I think it's because of just talking to some Ohio State guys today. And no, I'm not saying it was the person on our show on Sunday. That is not who it was. So before anybody asks or starts to accuse him of being that person, I
no
just want to
conspiracy theories here today.
No conspiracies. But no, I think they are panicking a bit. I've heard from them that, maybe a certain wide receiver they haven't talked to in quite a few days.
Yeah, I mean, look, the guy has been on campus, and it goes back to Landon Thomas, and that's what I keep telling people. It's like, dude, he came to campus 15 times. When's the last time he visited Ohio State? I can't recollect. It's been a long time. Florida State gets one of those last visits. It's like the writing's on the wall. But Brian Hartline, that was the main thing. We thought he was going to get a job. That hasn't happened yet. They haven't played their bowl game. Who knows? Maybe he could push it. He may decide to push it tomorrow to February. I don't think that happens. I think we find out one way or another. But there you have it. Jen is almost there. She's almost there. I love it. I think Jeremiah Smith ends up being a Nole. Now, point of contention on this show is the Auburn Tigers. Me and Jen have went back and forth kind of on whether Hugh Freeze is going to get this shit done over there in Auburn or not. And me playing the devil's advocate and, just seeing what he's done, I think he's a pretty good coach. Well, we've got a different reason to talk about Hugh Freeze and the Auburn program tonight. Unfortunately, you've seen the smoke, all kind of rumors. Just recruiting is what it is. Okay. Auburn, to me, has not been a threat. They haven't been a big threat to KJ Bolden. He's a Nole. He's not one of these kids who plays both sides of the fences, is out looking for attention, going to do a post to do this and do that. KJ Bolden, if for whatever reason, if he ends up going to Auburn, if they offer him buku, crazy money, and he ends up going over there for whatever the reason being, and he's not a kid to me that makes decisions based only on money. He's got a great support system. His mom and dad, they're great people. And again, I think he's a null. But if he were to flip, this isn't going to be a situation where it's Travis Hunter throwing the hat down and, leaving Mike and the coaching staff completely out of dry and you don't have a backup plan. It's not going to be that kind of situation. But yeah, there are people out there that are calling it. I know Steve Wiltfong over there. He was back and forth, Auburn, Georgia. But, that guy, he talks a lot. He's one of the biggest guys. He's got one of the highest crystal ball ratios out there. But he just takes the information and he plays it day by day. And that's what he does. He's in this game. So, somebody's trending for a little while. You'll hear all that stuff. But what he never did, he never pulled his crystal ball off Georgia. Okay. So he flipped to Florida State. I'm sticking with Florida State. I think KJ Bolden is a Seminole. I think they have a lot of special relationships in this class. They want to keep this top DB class in the nation together. But look, guys, if we get sat up here and said it's no risk whatsoever for Auburn to get any of these guys, we would be bullshitting you. There's a non-zero chance. Auburn is in a situation like we were a couple of years ago where it's like they got to get that thing turned around and they will overpay, they'll do whatever do. They got to get their Jeremiah Johnson in there. Or Jermaine Johnson, excuse me, Jermaine Johnson. They got to get that guy over there. Okay, so the Renegade Report, George, he's still predicting KJ Bolden as a Nole. But stay tuned, and that's one unfortunately we're gonna have to pay attention to. Guys, I know you guys saw we got Kedarian Jones, former Memphis Tiger wide receiver. I guess he'll always be a Memphis Tiger wide receiver, but he was there for the full 4 years of Mike Norvell's tenure in Memphis, and we were super excited. Had a bit of a scheduling conflict. I told him the wrong time zone, so he's going to get in here, jump in a little bit, and we're going to really get behind the climb, what it's like playing for Mike Norvell, getting recruited by him, how he treats recruits when they get there, what these exit interviews are like that, ends up with these guys hitting the portal, people leaving. What does it take to stay and be a part of that program for 4 years? And I'm sure we'll get into a ton of stuff. He's a big fan of Mike Norvell. You saw him defending us on the timeline when it came to the snub and all that stuff. So super excited. And also because Jen is a Memphis gal, so I know she's excited to talk to him here a little bit.
Big time. Yeah. Big time. So I'm really excited to see him. But you know what, George? I know everybody's freaking out about KJ. And I saw in the chat someone said things happen, blah, blah, blah. And again, I'm not saying that I know anything that he is going to flip or that I'm worried about it. I'm really not. But again, things do happen. I could be wrong about this, but just from some stuff I've heard, I'm not panicking yet. I think this is just a typical 5-star kid who is wanted by every program. They're going to throw everything, including the kitchen sink, at him. And it does seem like it would be hard for somebody that age to turn that down. And again, but we don't know what Florida State's throwing at him. We don't know what they're going to try to throw at him once anything else happens. So he's had so many chances to flip. He's gone to Auburn so many times. He's gone to Georgia so many times. They could have offered him this, and they may have. We don't know. We don't know how many times they've offered him this. At the end of the day, he left Florida State on Sunday and did not go visit Auburn.
Absolutely. So, big time.
Or Georgia. I know a lot of people, like Auburn is up there and all these things, but I'm going to go back to the photos, George. I'm going to go back to the photos. That kid looked creeped out by that coach sitting next to him in that photo, and I don't care what anybody says. So I'm going to stick with my photo theory on this. Yeah, I feel good about that, and I could be wrong, but I mean, I don't talk to KJ, so I can't say anything firsthand. But I know that some people still feel pretty good about it. There are some people that are panicking that I trust, and there are some people that are fine that I trust. So I don't really know which way to go with that. But yeah, I think the smoke is probably real, but I think the smoke is also reporters finding out about like NIL numbers and not being able to believe that a kid would turn it down, if that makes any sense. And that doesn't, but that also doesn't mean that Florida State isn't going to try and match it. So I don't, or try and make something a little bit more competitive, because obviously the kid wants to. I mean, we hear dream school, and I want to roll my eyes too, because
Absolutely. Yeah. Look, we've heard it a million times, but you hit on a few really key points there. You touched on at the beginning and the end. Look, is it true that what's being reported out there, Auburn is doing everything they can to get him in their class, get these other big guys in their class? True. But Jen hit it. It's like what you're hearing is the reporting on what's going on right now, or 6 hours ago. Like Jen said, a number might have got reported, whatever the case may be. But that doesn't mean Florida State isn't at this second. It's not their turn to throw their pitch, have their chance to get in. It's not like, they got KJ locked over there in some spot in Alabama and we can't get to him after whatever pitch they put forward. So just because people are worried, just because everybody in the world think he might flip right now, that does not mean he will not be a Seminole in the end. And like I said, I'm going to continue to predict him to be a Seminole. I think he is. I think when it comes down to it, when Mike Norvell gets on that phone, he's going to do what it takes to close. I know the reputation out there before this big class, people had something to say about, look, the Travis Hunter situation, Keldrick Falk last year. There's been, stuff that's happened. But I think it feels like to me, we lost guys in the past, Travis Hunter, because even though Mike Norvell was recruiting his ass off, doing great things at the program, putting everything in place, we didn't have the on-field to match. And last year, 10-3, that was great, but we had the 3-game losing stretch. Perception wasn't the best. We went 13-0. We showed the world we were a playoff team this year, even though we got screwed out of it. The only perception thing you could put out there is that maybe the snub hurt it and helped that whole SEC narrative. But I just don't see it. Florida State is kind of the cock of the walk right now. Mike Norvell is letting his dick hang. He's not. I don't see somebody being out there and giving some crazy pitch. If they want to give somebody 10x the money or something like that and it works out, it's great. But I don't think that's the most important, only end all be all for these kids. And if you ask me, KJ Bolden as a sophomore and a junior, regardless of what the NL thing at Auburn has given him, he will be worth much more in Tallahassee, because we all know the numbers. We all know the TV numbers. We know where Florida State's going. We know what a giant star he would be. We know about DBU. How many DBs do you think of when you think of Auburn? Like, I'm sure they've had some in the past. It's nothing like Florida State. We're one of the best, arguably best safety, best corner in the league. Like, throughout decades, like you had Deion Sanders, and now you got Ramsey and Jerwin. It's like undisputed. If it was LSU versus Florida State in this matchup versus KJ Bolden, then yeah, I might change my prediction. But I just like him to end up at Florida State. Amari Williams. Sorry, go ahead. I didn't want to.
I was going to say I wouldn't change it if it was versus LSU, because Brian Kelly and their defensive coordinator House has proven that their DBs are not very good. And I know people want to freak out, but again, at the end of the day, what 17 and 18-year-olds do, you can't just start panicking about it, because I think that I don't think KJ is going to flip, but only because I really trust Mike and I trust the staff. But if he does, for whatever reason, if it's an NIL deal or whatever is going on, I think they might have something up their sleeve.
Absolutely. I don't think they don't. Like, that's it. And you said it again, Jen. That's why she's so badass at this. Like, very poignant. There's no doubt they don't have an ace in a hole, some kind of, some kind of play. If there was to become that critical, moment when they think he's going to flip, they're going to make a play. They're going to try and get him in this class. Couple questions I saw in the chat earlier. Somebody was asking if there is a cap on NIL. To my knowledge, there is no cap. The cap is just the market. They get paid market money. So 99% of these deals aren't what you hear in the news. But there are particular situations, like with what Auburn's got on right now, where they may overpay for a player or two here, and you could get some of these crazy deals. But 99% of them are just fair market value deals. Go over to Den Media Group. Me, him, and Chris did a hour and a half, 2 hour podcast talking all about the fair market value of NIL, how they come up with these things, and just kind of straighten that all out. But also Mike Bart says, I guess we find out tomorrow which quarterback we are bringing in from the portal. We'll get more into the portal later, but this one is so tied into high school recruiting that we'll for sure hit it. Me and Jen talked about it earlier on in the week, last week. It would sure be nice if it could happen tonight in the morning. If you could get, whether it be Cam Ward or DJU, if you could get them in the fold, most of the time you're thinking, okay, well, that's going to affect transfers. Let's get that quarterback in here so we can really hit that transfer market. But in the case of a wide receiver like Jeremiah Smith, who is going to come in and be a stud freshman, wherever he goes, he's going to 99% start. He's just one of those dudes. I think he's the highest rated wide receiver since like Dorial Green Beckham in like 2012 when he was just insane, level recruit. Where's your money at, Jen? I know we've been back and forth on it. Ward, DJU, but who, in your heart of hearts, who do you think they end up getting to commit here in the coming days?
God, I really thought it was going to be DJ. I really did. But the longer it drags out, the more I think it could be like a Cam Ward in the morning.
That's it. You nailed it. And look, we've been honest with you about, kind of what we know on this situation. And DJU, from who we talked to this whole time, he was ready to commit. When he came to campus, It was like, he's all in. He wants to be a Florida State Seminole, but there was a bit of a competition there. Like Cam Ward may be on top of that board. I don't have privileged eyes to see Mike Norvell's hot board on who he, values more, but from all outside of appearances, it appears that they are waiting to see, can they get Cam Ward on board, what the deal is. They may not have given either of these guys the ability to commit. Maybe they're saying, okay, we're going to be fair. We're going to go through. I don't know, guys. I'm here to tell you that DJU is he just doesn't have as many options as Cam Ward. So this thing stretching out every hint, every notion points to that they're waiting on Cam Ward. And Jim mentioned it. We're hoping it happens in the morning. If it can happen in the morning, and if it does happen, I'll make this prediction. If it does happen in the morning, then your shot of getting Jeremiah Smith really shoots up then. And so it's one of those things. Is it the be all end all? If we get Cam Ward, does that mean we're getting Jeremiah Smith and all this stuff? No, it doesn't mean it. We're not here to tell you that kind of shit. We don't bullshit you. But if Jeremiah Smith knows he has a Cam Ward Heisman candidate type quarterback to play with his freshman year coming out the gate, and seeing the guys that are leaving, Johnny Wilson, Keon Coleman, and he can step into that offense built for playmakers, then fuck yeah. You get Cam Ward in here, then Jeremiah Smith goes up. My confidence goes from 65% to we're talking higher.
Yeah. I mean, so, and why is Blount trending? I mean, God, what a train wreck. Anyway.
What's trending?
Blount,
oh gosh. We'll talk. We might as well get right into that one. Armando Blount. I'm not sure which one it is, to be honest.
I don't care.
Jen has had it with this recruitment.
I haven't been a fan since the get. I've got to be honest. I don't like the hijinks. I don't like the family. I mean, no, I'm not saying I don't like the family. I don't like their constant bashing of schools that are recruiting him. I don't think it's a good look. I think it's a look that says this is flashy. This is a head case a little bit. I foresee this kid, no matter where he goes, to be in the portal in a year. I'm just saying that's what I see. I think it looks like a mess. But I'm not a coach, so I don't deal with any of that. If it was me, and again, I'm not a coach, I just would have pulled the offer and been done. Honestly. I mean, especially with the hijinks. I mean, look, what you can't do, I get it.
Look, it's one of those things. When he committed, everybody was skeptical. It's just one of those things. Now, the man of the hour showed up, Kedarian Jones, Memphis Tiger wide receiver. We're going to go ahead and add him to the stage and get to talking to Kedarian about some Mike Norvell and the climb. But yeah, guys, don't get too hung up on Armando Blount. It is what it is. We thought we had a shot. We got him over here. But it looks like he's all Miami. We're not going to blow any smoke up your ass. What's going on, Kedarian? What's going on? I hope I pronounced that right. I didn't butcher that, did I?
Just a little bit, but it's
Sorry about that,
Kadarian.
man.
It's all
Kadarian. Sorry about
good.
that,
Yes,
brother.
sir. I'm glad to be
Guys,
on though.
I gave Kedarian the wrong number, so y'all just bear with me. I put the Central instead of the Eastern. Me and Jen, she's on Central and I'm on Eastern, and it
Yeah.
tears me up. I make mistakes when I schedule these things all the time, but we appreciate you coming on with us, man. How's it
Hey, it's
going?
all good. We all do.
Absolutely. Jen is a
Hey, it's
Memphis
going
chick,
well,
so
man. I had
she's
a
super
pretty good
excited to
day.
have you on here. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. No, you're good. Go ahead.
How's it? But no, man. We were just talking about recruiting a little bit, but man, Mike Norvell, and we were talking about the kind of pitches. Like, just because a guy is rumored to flip, just because a guy offers a little bit of money here, that doesn't mean that Mike Norvell isn't going to close. And I guess the first question would be: I know you were at Memphis for all 4 years that he was there. Were
Correct.
you a part of? Did he recruit you, or were you already locked in, like going to be at Memphis before he got there, or did you experience the full recruiting thing with him?
So actually, I did not experience the full recruiting experience from Coach Norvell. I was already at Memphis, coming off a redshirt year.
Okay, that's right. Absolutely, man.
Nice. Well,
4 years.
I'm excited to have you because I live in Memphis, born and raised in Memphis.
Okay.
I just happen to be a Noles, so it came full force for me when they hired Mike. But God, I love that man. I think he's great. He's such a good coach. And I love the Memphis Tigers. I grew up going to all the games. We used to get their keys and do the na 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 to like Louisville back in the day. So it used to be, I love it. I just happen to be an old too, but we all do that sometimes.
Right.
It's been so nice just watching some of the Memphis players discuss Mike, because as much as I try and tell Florida State fans, sometimes they don't get it. Like, it's so weird to see a coach leave a program, right, and go to another school and have the whole city and their former players still just adore him.
Right.
Like, I see more Florida State shirts now than I've ever seen in my life. I see more like bumper. I mean, it's so fun. And anyway, you go ahead. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you found with Mike?
One thing that kind of sticks out with Coach Norvell is that he's the same person through day in and day out. Like, he doesn't give you a facade. He's not gonna give you what you want to hear. He's not gonna, fit a mold that he has to. He's gonna be the same person every day, and that consistency across the board goes a long way. And talking about kind of like the recruiting process, I didn't necessarily get to experience that, but during that time of redshirting and then having a new guy come in and not really knowing the expectations or what's to come, and then just kind of seeing the things that he brought day in and day out, you kind of have no choice but to buy in, because obviously the end result is what it is. So just hitting on just the type of guy he is, man. Like, every day he comes on level 10, it's nothing less, and that 10 is not necessarily a negative. It's just bringing the energy, bringing the juice. I'm pretty sure that every college, university across the country, every coach is there in the building before and leaves after every player, obviously. But every day, and that man is like at it, like ready to go, and you can't do anything but buy into it. So just that alone, like I said, is just a small piece of the puzzle to what makes that whole thing work.
Heck yeah, man. I mean, y'all had a good program going at Memphis. Coach gets hired, goes to Virginia Tech. I'm sure y'all were probably like, man, we had this going. We're getting ready to, take over this conference. You get a Mike Norvell in then. So for him to come there and take over and get y'all back at the end, I'm sure even though he didn't have to recruit or didn't get to recruit you, you were already there, but he had to recruit that roster when he got there, I'm sure. And he was able to keep it together. So I guess, what was that experience all like? Did you like really find out about some of your brothers that, man, I guess Norvell ain't for them. That's not really their style. Is it kind of just not for everybody, I guess, is what I'm asking?
It's more so he's just gonna be direct with you. Like, I tell people all the time, and I'm pretty sure he still tells people the same thing. The offense is built for playmakers. So he's not wasting his time going to just anyone's house or just anyone's residence or school just to just get anyone. Like, he's going to get guys that's going to fit exactly what he's looking for. And that's kind of, I'm pretty sure, the lead thing that he goes with. Like, I'm not here to just, be one of the coaches that come through your house and sit with you and all of that. No, I actually have a plan for you. I have a destination, an end goal on this football field and off of it. So just that alone, like having somebody come into your presence and tell you, like, I envision you on, our team, our university doing big things for our school. Hey, that's major. So most people don't come in with, a plan for you. They just kind of come in and tell you, hey, I think you'll be a good fit. Hey, boom, 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 we like you, this, that, and the third. But no, Coach Norvell is coming at you direct and telling you, hey, I can see you doing this, that, and the third. He'll model you after guys. And like you said, bringing guys in, I could go, the list goes on. Like Memphis at one point in time was RBU to me. Like he just was putting out running backs, just running back. And I'm just like, God, but people don't really just see where you won't see it, but people don't see the behind the scenes of what goes into the game plan and the hard work he puts into it, the details. He is big on, like, details do tell, and that's just kind of some of the things that he talks about. And everything that he does is full attempt, from recruiting to practice to game days to interviews to charity events to alumni gatherings, whatever you name, he's going to give it his all. So, like I said, just that as a person, being that way behind anything will go a long way.
Absolutely. I love hearing you say that, man, because that's what we preach on here all the time about Norvell. The tour of duty is kind of famous. Coach Storms has been with him for a long time. I'm not sure if he had that thing fully developed, if that thing kind of evolved while you were at Memphis or what, but what was it like, being a part of that thing for 4 years?
So think about tour of duty is it's always right coming back from your Christmas break, like always.
Rude awakening.
Like and above on top of that it's 4:30 in the morning, and again 4:30 in the morning, I'm fresh off a break, it's day one, and here comes busting through the door loud on level 10 Coach Norvell, excited, ready to go. And again, even if you're sleepy, if you don't feel like being there, whatever the case may be, him coming through that door like that is going to light a fire. Like, it's going to make you either get with the program or you're going to fall to the wayside. And it's nothing that he does negative. It's nothing that, that he says, hey, you're not going to make it. No. People just don't make it because they're not built for it. Like, that's just simply what it is. Like, it may be another place that you might be built for that might have success there, but it just won't be with Coach Norvell because he holds people to a standard and an expectation that obviously creates undefeated seasons.
Absolutely. You got something, Jen? Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to, so how did you feel, when you guys won that game against UCF and you went to the Cotton Bowl? How did that feel for that to be the first time that program had, made a New Year's Six Bowl? I know it was huge for me. I can't imagine what it was like for the players and everything.
Yeah. So, okay. So what's crazy about that is, yeah, it's as great as it felt and as deserving as it was, it almost kind of felt like we had been at the door, like kind of knocking, waiting to get there. Like years prior to that exact year, it was always maybe one or two games that we kind of fumbled ourselves. They kind of knocked us out of position to get that. So, and I like to tell people a lot of the times, games that we lost or were close in, we were always put in position to win. And I'm pretty sure the same thing goes with Florida State. Like, I don't want to give too much away, but when the whole entire offense has reads from the receivers to the quarterback to the running back to the line, it's kind of impossible to stop. And now the percentage of everybody being on the same page every play, every time, is not likely. But the times that they are is when you get those big plays, those big numbers on the scoreboard and total yards, all that kind of good stuff. So just that alone is just like we were already, top 5 in the country in offense, and just like those things were kind of like the norm. Like, we already knew, like, we're there, we almost there, and we finally did it. It was just so surreal, and just like it was like, to answer your question, it was amazing. Like, it's a feeling that obviously I can never, forget. I rarely wear this hat, but I'm wearing it today, because this is,
yay, I love it.
this is,
Let's go.
This is what he did for us and what he did for y'all. Yeah. So, hey, the proof is in the pudding.
Man, that was great. Wild. Go ahead,
It
Jen.
was really, I was just going to say it was so great because, I mean, I knew he was being hired by Florida State that night, when you guys, I knew because, but it was already, right. I think Norvell was honest with people. And I don't think he ever was being shady about that, I think. But it was so weird watching it win and then realizing that he was going from one of my favorite teams, my hometown team, to my actual college. It was weird. It was just weird for me. And my parents, we had 50-yard line tickets. We went to every game. It was just it was kind of a full circle moment for me a little bit.
Right.
I don't think I ever thought that the Memphis football coach would then become, the head coach at Florida State. But it was so fun. And I just love how much the players and everything just loved him. And I loved how much the city embraced him and everything. Because like I said, I think a lot of Memphians now, their second team, luckily, I think we pushed out Tennessee. Thank God. I think their favorite team now is Florida State. Most people, I mean, except for those weirdo Tennessee fans who still are stuck in 1998, but that's fine. They live there with Miami fans. That's fine. They live there with Miami fans.
I'm still pissed about 1998, but I love the part you said about the wide receivers and the reads, because Jimbo Fisher was at Florida State for a long time.
Right.
And when he was here, he had a similar thing, what you're talking about with his wide receivers, except for it was super pro style. And you would not catch a wide receiver on the field till they're like a redshirt senior. It was like very rare. Every once in a while, you'd have a Rashad Green who was just like a genius and came in and was like freshman through senior year, he was the starter. But that is just super rare. So the fact that Mike Norvell can do that with guys like Johnny Wilson so fast, sorry to cut you off, but talk on that. It's amazing.
Yeah, no, I was just wanting to tell you out there, like, that's Norvell's forte. Like, he doesn't care if you're a true freshman, if you're a fifth-year senior, if you can play, you're gonna play. Like, it does not matter. Like, and that's kind of the thing that you kind of have to respect about him, because it's more so putting the best interest of a team instead of, sympathy or what's the word, seniority or anything like that. It's the overall well-being of a team. If I feel like we have a better chance if this guy's here doing this, then why not do that? And that kind of says a lot to a coach instead of, trying to be traditional and stick to old values and ways of you got to put your work in, this, that, and the third. But yeah, that definitely is a testament to a great coaching ethic of his. True
meritocracy. You love it, man.
I do. I appreciate it because he plays who's ready to play.
Yes.
Get the best players on the field.
Yeah. And
simple as that.
What he does with quarterbacks, for me, it was like Brady White. I know that kid was special. Mm-hmm. I just love his relationships with his offensive players, but I also love the fact that his defensive players love him just as much as his offensive players do. And I think that's such a special attribute for a coach to have, that these defensive players are just as close, with him, because sometimes you see head coaches who were offensive coaches, and I don't mean to go back to Jimbo Fisher, but a lot of the offensive play, he was a lot closer to the offense, right? I mean, he just was. It's just so different because, like, it's almost a little Bobby-esque, George. It's a little Bobby-esque because
I love where you're going there.
He would have all the players over at his house for dinner, and it's kind of the same now. It's not separated with offense and defense, and I absolutely love that. And I know he was doing that at Memphis too, and I love the community, that he wants you to be a part of the community and do everything. And Mike or Coach Norvell he would go on all these local radio shows. He doesn't do it as much, at Florida State because of the differences with the communication department. It's a little different than, what Memphis is.
Right.
Because Florida State is just it's almost like a Fortune 500 company a little bit in that way. Yeah. But, I just loved, like, every day you could turn on the radio and you'd hear him on 6 or 7 different shows, and he didn't care which one it was. It just didn't matter. And he's on there, and he was like your best friend. And that's where I was going with, like, the Bobby stuff, because he could see you once and, like, remember and be like, hey, how's your sister doing? Like, that's just always.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
That's what it always reminds me of. And so I know, like, Florida State fans are like, well, what are we getting? What are we going to get? Like, they all wanted Bob Stoops and everything. And I was like, y'all are getting like a young Bobby. That's what you're getting. That's what you're getting as a young Bobby Bowden. That's how I felt about it from day one. I still feel about it today. So I couldn't be happier with it. I'm just so glad that he brought Memphis back. And, you know, I mean, I'm not saying anything about Coach Fuente at all. I think he did an amazing job too. You know, Memphis was having these years where they were hiring like the top-notch coaches, and then, you know, these coaches were doing an amazing job. I don't know why he didn't succeed at Virginia Tech, although I think if they had given him more time, he would have. That's just my thoughts.
Yeah, it's a tough situation. It's just Virginia Tech, Syracuse, you hate to even mention them in the same sentence as that, you know, because of the success they had. But unfortunately, it's been tough for them to get it back. But I love where you went with that, with Bobby Bowden.
Yeah.
It's a brotherhood. Everybody talks about Florida State, the recruits. That's the biggest thing you hear from everybody, the family. And Jen talked about it. They all have supper at each other's houses, not just certain position groups. They all get together. One thing I love that he's brought back that Bobby Bowden used to do, position groups break up and pray with each other before and after the games. It's something that it's not talked about a ton because, like Jen said, Florida State it's a Fortune 500 company in its own right, but they're not shy about their faith, and it's a big part of the team and the family. And I just love that brotherhood, and it's hard for people to explain. Recruits try to explain it, but I guess if you wanted to give a crack at it, what is it like just having that kind of that brotherhood within that he fosters, and just like you said, he treats everybody the same, and just to be out in front with his faith and stuff and not be afraid to speak out on it and stuff. I love that, and it's really similar to Bobby.
Like you said, man, just it goes just to show like well, first and foremost, like who wouldn't want to be a part of, you know, brotherhood, and just like that being instilled already. And then Coach Norvell being so big and emphasize, I put so much emphasis on it, it made us closer as not just teammates, you know what I mean? Like, it made us realize that no one's bigger than the other. Like, Coach Norvell sees all of us as sons in a sense, you know, and he always just kind of want the best. And regardless of what's going on the football field, like, okay, for a perfect example, Coach Norvell will intentionally come to practice and point someone out, and he might get on me about this, but I don't care. He intentionally find someone and just literally dog rip them all day for no reason. They can have the best practice that they've ever had, and he's going to continue to dog rip them. But after he's finished, once practice is over, he's going to go right to that same guy and explain to him, I only did that to put adversity on you and see how you respond. I still love you. I still care about you. Don't, you know, take anything that happens in between these lines personal. It's all for betterment, positive critiquement, those type of things. So that right there, allowing us to kind of, you know, get a why behind why the things that he does, also shows us vulnerability. When Coach Norvell first got to Memphis, the first thing that he said was, don't believe anything that I tell you. Let me show you. You know,
Love it.
He left a dramatic pause in between that. And at the time, we all were just sitting in the meeting room when he first got there, and we was kind of like, don't believe what you say. And then, you know, he backdoor with the let me show you. And I promise you, everything that Coach Norvell ever said he was ever going to do, he did it. Whether it was new uniforms, whether it was taking periods off practice, whether it was anything, like whatever he said he was going to do, he did it. And like I said, that right there is just, it builds trust, and it goes along with that brotherhood line, because with those two things, you can accomplish a lot. And that's kind of what we did just off those things alone.
Man, it's like he took the best parts of these coaches. You can tell he really studied and like was ready for his opportunity as a head coach. Because I've heard that story you just told about 100 times about Florida State's like legendary defensive coordinator, Mickey Andrews, that he was legendary for that. I'm not even going to repeat the stuff. It would make me blush. But if you hear some of the stuff that James Coleman has said, the stories and the hard love he's given them on the field, and then put his arm around him right afterwards, man, that's not Bobby's cup of tea, but that's just like Mickey Andrews all day. It seems like he really has the best of kind of a lot of these great coaches. You love to see it. And Josh Storms, talk about him for a minute, man. He really he fits in. Like, I can't imagine him ever. Like, Norvell and him are going to be together forever. But I know you've got some kooky, funny Josh Storms stories. So,
hey, first and foremost, Josh Storms does not get the credit he deserves. I do not see enough talk about Coach Storms. That man is the hidden gem to the success of any program he's been a part of. And again, it's not even just the workout aspect of it or the different things in that nature, the strength and program. It's the care even within it. Like, okay, you might need to gain or lose, regardless of your goal. He's gonna work with you with that goal. Like, he's gonna not expect you to do it all alone. Like, it's again all along with that brotherhood, trust, vulnerability that Coach Norvell does. And like you said, bringing the right guys, Coach Storm is like the perfect person. And bro, I could just go on and on about these guys. Like, y'all don't understand. Florida State has really been given a major gift of just like greatness, and I don't say that in a biased manner or because I've played or worked under these guys or whatever. But the proof is in the pudding. These guys are genuine dudes that give a crap about their kids. Like, it's just what it is. And Coach Storms is. We're with Coach Storms probably more times than we're with our position coaches and head coach more times throughout the year. Football is only from June to about December, January, if you make it that far, and then the rest of those months is with Coach Storms. So just being around him and seeing the proof of just how work actually works, and just you really get out what you put in. Hey, Coach Storms is the guy. Like, oh man, Coach Storms is the guy.
It's been an unreal difference. And this dumbass comment here, excuse my language. Do you have any insight to the sharp rise in our soft tissue injuries? Look, if you were around for the Jimbo Fisher, Willie Taggart era, that's the most, like, I'm not trying to be mean to you, buddy, but that's an ignorant comment. Like, it's night and day soft tissue injuries since Mike Norvell has got here. Injuries and like guys staying healthy. Yeah, don't worry about that, bro. Like, our injury factor is like, it's I don't know. I don't have the stats in front of me, but it used to be bad, and it's really amazing what he's done. He's really got these guys just ready to go. You got to have them. You got to have a certain level to play at this level. There's a certain, I don't know, NFL level of like meal planning, those calories being exactly right, getting your work in, getting your recovery, and just everybody that I've heard, the defensive end for the Jets that played with you guys. I mean, he was on ESPN, and the whole time he was talking about Josh Storms. So it's like, man, you just love it. You love everything about it. And it's been a little while for Nole Nation to kind of buy in on Mike Norvell. They're kind of jaded after Taggart.
Not me.
But I think people understand. Me and Jen have been early buyers, and we have been all in. But yeah, it's a blessing. My thing is, I hope he stays for at least 10, 15 years. I hope we can keep Atkins for a couple more years, but he's going to end up being a head coach. Cars like Fuller D.
Fuller.
Can we talk about the Fuller D for a minute? One of the most underrated coaches in all of college football. What he's done with this defense has been just absolutely amazing.
Man, and that's another just excuse me.
You're fine.
A testament to, just like you were saying, like Coach Fuller is just as great. Like, he was at Memphis with Coach Norvell, and even then we had guys on that defense that were flying around, hitters, making plays, like leading the nation in turnovers. Like, we were actually doing some great things with these guys that you have, and like I said, it just translates over and transferred over, and it's showing. And it kind of takes me back to a post that I made about the playoff situation and being left out. Like, come on now, everybody says defense wins championship. Well, give that defense a chance. They deserve that chance. Not only just the defense, of course, the entire team. But again, like, if you want to say a guy's hurt, no one's hurt on their defense. So, but that's another. We'll get to that in a sec. But Coach Fuller is definitely another guy that makes that train go.
No, that was a natural transition. And sorry to hog all the questions, Jen.
No, you're fine.
But as a Memphis person and not a diehard FSU fan like me and Jen, I'm not sure, what your team is or how much you follow FSU before Norvell got there.
I would guess
But
it's
seeing us
Memphis.
left out as as an outsider, what like, are we crazy? Is it a conspiracy theory? Like, did we really get screwed? Like, let the people know it ain't just us in an old nation. Because you've been vocal and we really appreciate it.
Yeah, and I want to say that, of course, I'm rooting for Florida State because of Coach Norvell and etc. But it has nothing to do with bias. It has everything just to do with facts. Me personally, I grew up in a time where, like I said, it was just about winning every game. And if you won every game, then you got a chance to play for the championship. And to be left out, regardless of revenue, regardless of starting quarterback not being able to play, like regardless of any of that, is just a slap in the face to the university, the kids, etc. Just to, y'all did all of this to not be able to do what you thought you were going to be able to do for doing what you did. You know what I'm saying? So no, you guys aren't crazy at all. And that's just, man, it's heartbreaking. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, we had a ACC commissioner who just really, really, didn't go to bat for us. You hate to see it, but we appreciate the guys like you that have went to bat for Norvell and didn't look like we actually got a video of Jim Phillips right here.
What are you doing?
Nothing. Me? Just hanging around.
There he is. Jim Phillips, ACC commissioner. We sure appreciate you, man.
We sure appreciate you for not saying anything.
Again, I have been so, I guess, pissed off about this because, well, one, it's my favorite school and college and, all these things. But I thought winning was supposed to matter. I thought losing was supposed to matter. And I thought actually winning games through adversity, as Coach Norvell would say, should also matter. And the fact that a team went in with their third string quarterback against the number, what were they ranked at the time, 12?
I think so, 14.
Yeah, it was like 12 or 14. And then they beat them, a team that scored 30 points a game. They held them to 6. And then Texas beats a team who had gotten blown out at home by San Diego State, UCF, and was way lower ranked. And then they jump 4 spots. You cannot make it make sense to me. It will never make sense to me. I don't want to hear it. Beating a higher ranked team should mean you stay in your spot. If they wanted to take Florida State out for a hurt quarterback, which I also think is abysmal and gross and disgusting to every other player on the team. But if that was going to be your move, you should have never moved them up in the rankings the week before. That's where I am with that. So, I mean, I feel like all those people, I think it was so corrupt. You just told kids that their games didn't matter. You just told them that putting their bodies on the line didn't matter, that their wins didn't matter. That other teams' losses mattered more than your wins. And I think that's just gross, and that's not what sports is. And I love that ESPN is getting so much backlash right now. They're getting stopped on the streets and whining on national TV about how, I was at this millionaire party and somebody, told me that I was being mean because they saw me on Morning Joe on MSNBC. I mean, if even the white women who watch MSNBC, which I think are the only people that really do, are coming up to you, criticizing you, you've really made a mistake. Because
yeah.
And I mean that in like the white wine moms, y'all know who I'm talking about here. These women who are like, the soccer moms, whatever. You know the
10 glasses at the Italian restaurant.
Yeah.
4th bottle at the Italian restaurant. That Xanax really kicking in.
Well, we know my last name is Santi, so I go to the Italian restaurants and I'll have 10 glasses of wine, but you wouldn't catch me watching MSNBC, but it's just boring. I'd rather watch, sports. But I'm just saying, those women. Those women are the ones who are like, the Karens. the
Mhm.
Karens watch MSNBC. Let's be real. But I think it's funny that these men are just complaining and, oh my God, woe is me. People are mad at me. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
the backlash is real, and you're getting backlash from former NFL players, former college football players who didn't go to the NFL, coaches and stuff. And it's because people know what the sport is supposed to be.
Yep.
Wins and losses for so many years. But they
And
had to do
then,
it with next year. We couldn't just get to next year. You couldn't do it right
yeah, but
one time.
again, that argument doesn't work for me because those players aren't going to be here next year. So you just screwed out players who
No,
are
that's
like,
not what
it's
I'm
just,
saying, Jen.
No,
I'm
no.
saying
oh
I'm
no,
saying
I know.
why would like you could have just did it right one more time. It changes next year.
Yeah.
But y'all had to
Well,
switch up on the last freaking year. That's what I'm saying. Like it's
because
a
an
nightmare.
SEC team was going to be left out. That's why.
Conference expansion. That's all. If it was Oregon State or Wazoo, they wouldn't have been in. But it is what it is.
You know.
It's a bunch of BS. But we really love the posts you put out, man. We were screaming at the top of our lungs. 'Cause anytime any of us says anything, it's how we get the controversy stuff. But
Oh, man.
Yeah, I'm making a naughty and nice list, so you are on our nice list. I'm just letting you know.
absolutely,
I love it.
Yeah, we got to work on that. Jen had a great idea for the channel. We're gonna do some fun stuff, and we got a little time. We got about a week before Christmas, so talking about a little naughty and nice list, some fun episode of the show here coming up. So look out for that for sure.
So
Will
how do you feel like Norvell will do going forward? Like I saw his, I don't know if George, did you see it? His interview today on the first day of practice. He still seemed.
Hey, and let me speak on that. That
Please do.
Please do.
I have never seen Coach Norvell like that.
Yeah,
Ever.
I agree.
I can think back to the double overtime loss to UCF in the conference championship game we played. I can think back to the home loss to UCF we played. That was a nail biter. I can think about so many other things that could have, kind of had him in a way. But to see him today, like actually, seem not like himself to me, someone who's been around him a lot, that hurt my feelings very, very badly because.
Was it Corey that asked if he was mad? He's like, "Are you mad?"
I think the one I
That
seen,
shit pissed
he
me
was
off.
just saying it was the most challenging day of practice or the week of practice he's had being a coach, with the motivation of the players, et cetera, like that. And I was just like, man, I get it, I understand wholeheartedly, but God, that's just tough.
Yeah, like a couple questions in, one of the people asked him, is what I was talking about. One of the reporters said, "Are you mad? Like, are you still mad about this?" And Norvell was like,
Yeah.
Just looked at him like he was an alien. Like,
Yeah.
what is he supposed to say to that? No, I'm happy as hell we got left out. Like, what?
Which, knowing him like that was such a different reaction than you're kind of used to from him. The worst before this, the worst I ever saw him was after the conference championship game, before, when he knew he was going to be going to Florida State and they had made the Cotton Bowl, right?
Mm-hmm.
That to me was such a picture of how he felt about his players and everything. He couldn't even, he was excited, but like he couldn't even, I don't know, I can't put it into words, but this was.
He loves these kids, man.
Yeah.
He really does.
Yeah.
And to top on that, we love him so much. Like, it was bittersweet, I'm pretty sure on his end, but for us, it was like, man, it's so well deserving. Like, you definitely deserve that opportunity. Like, it was nothing else to be upset about. Like, we had done everything we needed to do together. Yeah. Like, when I first actually started getting my playing time, my redshirt freshman year, it was with Coach Norvell. And the last time I won a championship, it was with Coach Norvell. So, like, the whole growing process of just doing what we did collectively as a group and then seeing him get that opportunity, man, we was just excited for him. Like, it was no bitter anything from our end on, him leaving or going to chase better. Not at all.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head, both of you guys talking about how he's been just didn't look the same. Hasn't looked like that since then.
Yeah.
But my thing and what pisses me off the worst about this whole situation is it kind of goes against everything Mike Norvell is about. Like what he preaches to these kids, what college football is supposed to be. Like Jen said earlier, you're supposed to just be able to win. So you go out there in that Florida game and that Miami game, a lot of teams, especially out west, all these Pac-12, Big 12 teams, they would have scored another time or two. You know, when Florida and Miami were just completely gave up in them fourth quarters, we're right outside the red zone 2 different times. We didn't score a touchdown. So it's like,
did
the playoff committee, like, is Norvell just going to have to start being that guy? I'd hate for that, but it's just like, it's just such a kick in the nuts for that reason. It's like the kids, the coaching staff, everybody did everything right. It's like, so not to harp on this, guys. I know we've talked about it at the time, but it's just, it's awesome getting to hear an outside perspective on it from somebody who also is familiar with coaching staff.
Look, I'm not letting it go. I'm not going to let it go. I'm not going to let it go what they did to those kids. I'm not going to let it go what they did to that coaching staff. If I have to sit here and die on that hill, I will die on that hill. And I don't care what anybody says. They can call me a whiny baby all they want to. Because
I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead. I was just going to say, because those men work their asses off. Those kids work their asses off. And if I have to sit there and shout down Kirk Herbstreit by myself, I will do it. I don't care.
No, definitely. It shouldn't be something that's let go at all, you know. But unfortunately, the only narrative that's going to come from it is, well, this is the reason why we're going to 12 teams now, you know. So now everyone gets to have a chance to get in. So it sucks that, you know, it had to be Florida State, obviously, but yeah, that's I'm pretty sure that's going to be the narrative going into the next year. It's going to lead off with, well, no one's going to get left out now and all that kind of good stuff, but whatever.
Which they will.
We talked about it a little bit earlier, and not to just flip it. If there's anything, if we want to, we can definitely keep going on this. But I just thought about, you know, you being a wide receiver, the portal, obviously early signing day. We talked about that at the beginning. We'll get into it at the end. But as far as the quarterback thing, I'm sure you've seen Cam or DJU. Who's it going to be? I'm really curious on your opinion of, I guess, which quarterback would fit the best with Mike and maybe the personality from what you know. Just, I guess, kind of your thoughts on that.
Okay, so what I'll say with that is they both fit. Okay. And Coach Norvell's offense, I'm not giving too much away now, but in his offense, a running quarterback equals a 12th man on the field. So in my opinion, I would hope it's the more versatile guy versus the more pocket presence guy. So like I said, they're both good fits. Whoever comes is we're gonna be in good hands. But in my opinion, I want to go with the more athletic running guy because it creates another avenue to the game that Coach Norvell likes to play. You know, like with Jordan Travis being able to break off some big runs and break down and take off when nothing's down the field. Like those things are some of the things that Coach Norvell look for in a quarterback. So if one of those guys come, I think both of them would be a pretty good fit.
No doubt. That the way Jordan Travis's legs leverage that offensive line, and like you said, being that 12th man in his offense, without him, that it's really amazing how he picked it up that last 5 games of 2021 and carried it on to have an amazing, 2 years. Because I think that's extremely undervalued. I think a lot of people wanted Jordan to run more. It's like he's human; he can't run every play, guys. But just the threat of it and just how much it helped the offensive line throughout the years. We're real excited around here to get into the next year when we, like some of these younger guys that Norvell's brought in, we might have a bit more of a mauling offensive line, something a little bit closer to what y'all's offense looked like in that conference when y'all took Cincinnati down those 2 years. So we're real excited for the future. I think you're right. I think either one would be great. Seems like Cam's maybe the higher ceiling. DJU may be a little bit more steady. You know what you've got seeing him play in the ACC. We've been torn up about it. I've went back and forth. I'm thinking we get Cam, but I'm fine with DJU too. So.
Right.
So the longer I was telling George, I think the longer it's drawn out, I think it points towards Cam because I think DJ would have committed by now if it was him. That's just me. And I could totally be wrong. I'm not in anybody's living room, but I was a little bit more on the DJU because I'm very petty and I would have enjoyed DJ beating Clemson. So, yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
wild,
Like him,
wild thing.
that poor kid to get some revenge because, Dabo decided to have his like cousin intern like be his quarterback's coach and then bad talk him and everything and do all the things he did to that poor kid. So I think that would be fun. But that's just me. I'm petty Betty over here. But I also don't want Miami to have Cam Ward, so I'm kind of
Miami needs a lot of work though. It's not gonna just be,
There we go.
it's not just gonna be a quarterback for those guys. I'm not gonna lie.
It's a
Yeah.
coach.
Yeah.
People can criticize and talk about Mario Cristobal's recruiting all they want to. I mean, y'all can pound your chest, you can do everything. That team hasn't been relevant since Blockbuster was popping on Friday nights. We already know that.
Yeah.
And he can't take a knee. Like that's just all I have to say about it. And by the way, college football playoff, if Mario was coaching Florida State, I guess he wouldn't have taken a knee, but then they may have lost those games. Like we don't know. And they
Right.
wanted more points. I just never knew winning had a parameter on it. Like
Mhm.
you either win or you don't.
Mhm.
Last I checked, you either win or you don't. Elections are won or lost. It's
Yep.
not, oh, how big did you win the election? Nobody says that.
Nope.
You won. I know,
Yeah.
it just sucks.
It's something that should have never happened. Sorry, you about to say something.
Oh no, I think like my sole belief is that it just comes down to the ratings and revenue. I think that's all it is. Truthfully, it can't. I don't think they literally sat in the room and said, we're not going to put them in because they're undefeated. No, it's simply revenue. That's it. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and I think if we were like for anybody who wants to listen, I just have one thing to say that if Jordan Travis was healthy, it would have been Washington that was out.
Oh, easily.
Absolutely.
Because I just want Washington fans to hear this. I want everybody to hear it. Washington would have gotten left out for Alabama. I hate to break this news to anybody. It would have been Michigan, Florida State, Texas, and Alabama. Washington would have been left in the dirt. They would have said, well, they would have pulled the game control bullshit on them like they did to us in 2014. It's just and that's because Washington's ratings are not great. Florida State, they bring eyeballs, which is luckily why we're going to the Big Ten, thank God. So
It's a matter of time.
I heard some more stuff on those podcasts today, George. I'll have to update you later. But
Ooh.
oh yeah, I mean
We'll get into it.
Yeah, we'll get into it. But I'm just saying, for me, it's like anybody else would have gotten left out too. And I think all these other teams need to understand that this ESPN relationship with the SEC is not fair.
Major.
It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And to gaslight people and tell them that they're the crazy ones and they're the conspiracy theorists. It's just like,
Yeah. It's like,
whatever.
well, Alabama got so much better. Did they? Because a week before this game, we watched them need a 4th and 31 against Auburn, who paid New Mexico State $2 million to come beat their ass. So I'm sorry. I just don't believe you. And you're lying to me. You cannot pee on my leg and tell me it's raining. You can't. And so,
Yeah.
and Alabama struggled with USF. They almost lost to Arkansas at home. Arkansas at home, not at Arkansas. It was at home. And then they make fun of Florida for losing to Arkansas. So Florida lost to Arkansas by 1, right? Alabama almost lost to them by 2. Where's the difference here? Arkansas won 1 game or something in the SEC.
Y'all both
was
said
Florida.
it. It's a tier list of revenue. If it would have been, if we'd have had our quarterback, Washington would have been left out.
Yep.
If Texas wouldn't have beat Bama, it would have been, it is what it is. It's the money. It's a nightmare. And one of the things about this team that makes it so damn great, and the reason we're all screaming is because of Fuller's D, one of the best defenses in the nation. And one of the reasons it's so great and what's so great about
That's
this
what
team.
makes me sick.
And again, not for you to give too much away, but to get a little inside baseball. what is it about these coaches? Like, what do they do at halftime? Like, what's the key to these
Yeah.
Norvell teams coming out in the second half with just their ass lit on fire and just ready to dominate?
You know, the best thing I can say is they're it's already in the back of their head throughout the first half. And then with the time constraint of halftime itself, like I said, it's just kind of already there. So when they come in the locker room, it's right to it. It's fast paced. They already know what to do. They already know what they're seeing. They already know how to counter it. Like, and it's like clockwork. And it's kind of crazy because it works. Now, it's not crazy, but it's crazy how, just like I said, the time constraint and how fast they come in and deliver, the updated information. And then we go out there and execute it. And next thing you know, we done put up 30 to 40 more points in the second half and blew whoever was playing out. So it goes to show just how locked into the game that each coach is. When we go to the locker room, you go to your position coach first, and they got what they got for you. And then probably like 5 minutes after that, head offensive coordinator, head coach comes on one side, defense coordinator goes on the other side, and it's right to it. And within that time, shoot, they got everything they need to say out. We done understood it, got it, and now it's time to go back out there and put it on display. And when we do it, you see the outcome. So it just goes to show how like I said, how locked in that they are throughout the entire game. I know you guys see Coach Norvell's face on the sideline from beginning to end. Hardly ever cracks a smile, shows a reaction to anything. Like, it's just locked in,
Stone face.
So, yep. Which is the reason why he takes knees and doesn't run plays.
Speak on it, man. He's so unflappable. I mean, there's sometimes, like, we saw him get fired up at the refs, but like, as far as shit that happens in the game, a mistake or this, it's unreal how he can keep that straight face. Sorry, Jen, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I was going to ask him one of my favorite questions that I actually learned from another podcast. Was, where were you when Miami decided not to take a knee?
Actually, I was at home and I was watching another game, though, and it came across the ticker at the bottom of the TV, and I was like, hold on, wait a minute. So I went to YouTube and typed in the highlights real quick, and I said, are you serious? Like, we're talking about Division I college football, and you didn't take a knee?
Nope.
Like, that's what coaches preach the biggest. Like, we're not going to jeopardize the ball. We're not going to put anything in jeopardy when the game is already won and in hand. So let's just go ahead and get out of here. And that goes to show exactly why you should just take your win and get on up out of there. So
victory formation. Crazy.
It's not in his playbook. It's not in his playbook. But that's also because he
doesn't
win
isn't.
A lot of big games.
There's history
of
this
a lot
shit.
of big games. He doesn't have a lot of big games. That's just the fair point. I mean, I'm not going to speak badly of another coach, but like, when you look at Mike or Coach Norvell, when you look at him with him, taking knees, he's very respectful. He comes in with class. He leaves with class. You don't ever see him not shake hands. You don't ever see him throw fits. Now he did get after some refs this year, which was very surprising for him, but I'm here for that. Because they deserved it. I mean, that in the Florida game, that
oh man.
Oh my Lord.
Oh man. They've gotten so soft. It's ridiculous.
He never, that was, I think in that game, wasn't it Kirk was even going, what are we doing here?
That's one of the most egregious you will ever see. It was like, what else could you possibly do besides pick him up and set him down on a pillow? I mean, he literally he popped him. He didn't even follow through. Like, it's just an arm tackle. Like,
and the best part of Adam Fuller's defense was that was the only touchdown they allowed, which really was given to them by the refs. In what was it, 11 quarters or something like that? Isn't that what someone said? 11 quarters, George? I think it was.
I'm not sure about the quarters, but in that game, it was the only damn touchdown they scored for sure.
It was the only one since the last time.
I believe you. I just don't have that stat in my brain there.
Trying to add it up, but again, it's like, that is such a wild defense, and to just say that a team can't go to the playoffs when you look at that defense. Again, if I ever hear a sports analyst say defense wins championships, and I knew what you said about this team, you can get off my TV because I don't want to hear it. Because that defense, I think they could have given Michigan trouble because, again, they want to say Florida State's offense was bad. The last month, Florida State's offense did better than Michigan's did with their starter.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Kedarian, I'm sorry about that. I'm terrible in names. But usually once we get towards the end of the show, we're about an hour and 10 minutes, we start taking questions. So we usually do phone calls. We're not going to do that today. We're just going to take questions. If y'all have any questions, keep them coming in the comments. We'll answer the questions and just keep it topical for another 20 minutes or so till we get out of here. But yeah, any questions, if you got any questions for Kedarian, any questions for Jen, myself, Florida State portal, high school, get them in there. We've got 2 of them that I wanted to hit real quick. Early signing day is tomorrow. When do portal recruits have to declare? They have 30 days, and it started, I believe, December 1st, goes to January the 2nd for the first period. And then there's another period, I believe it's going to be from May 1st to May 15th. They've got 45 total days this year. That's it. Last year you had 45 and then another 15 and then another one later. But yeah, 45 days. So they have until January 2nd for this period. If not, they have till May. And we had another question asking, they're trying to make you pick because you said you like whichever one was probably more mobile, this or that. But yeah, so they want to know who the quarterback is. Guys, he gave you a pretty good answer earlier, but I think it comes down to which one is more athletic, was pretty much what you were saying.
Yeah. Cam Moore's from Washington State, right?
Yeah. He's more of a Michael Vick type, than
Exactly.
DJ. More of a bigger.
I kind of have a. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I think with some it's the fumbles. That's all I'm gonna say because Florida State they barely turn the ball over, and I think that number of the fumbles for him makes them go, oh my God, So you go ahead with that.
Well, because you said that the fumbles and the turnovers, if he were to choose Florida State, that would be an issue that wouldn't even matter because ball security is preached like the gospel at football practice with Coach Norvell. We begin with it, end with it, day in, day out. So that's not going to be an issue. My thing is, I'm not so fond of quarterbacks that have been to more than 2 schools. Just because I'm not saying that it's not possible to pick up on a new offense, but this offense, this isn't a cakewalk. Like this isn't something that you can just walk into and just lollygag through or think you're the guy and just kind of stand there and do what you want type thing. No, this is something that I would feel more so Cam would be fit for, because if it does break down because he might not have understood or remembered an assignment because of this complex offense, he has the ability to create something different or do something other than, what was originally designed. So if a play breaks down, he can use his legs to get out of it or et cetera, A, B, and C. So I'm going to go with Cam Ward. Answer.
I love it, man. I'm with you. I'm sticking with my initial. Let's get Cam Ward in here. I just feel like he's a guy that can take you higher. I feel like if you can get the pieces in, you hit your pieces in the portal, you have the offensive line you've been wanting. If you have all the pieces in place, Cam Ward is the dude that can take you. To answer the question in the chat, somebody was asking who me and Jen also thought. Jen, are you sticking with DJU? Is that still your preference?
Look, I'll take either one. I would love to. If Cam Ward comes here, I'm going to sit here and go, ha.
Right, but they put our feet to the fire, though. They want to know.
Well, is it my preference? No, I don't. I really don't have a preference. I trust the staff. I said I would be fine with either one. I'd be fine with either one. And with DJU, I could just be petty about it. And you know how much I enjoy doing that. So I can't just go back on my word now with that.
So there you go. We're on Cam. And I agree with Jen, but she's 50-50. Whoever they get, she's good with it, and I agree with her. Encyclopedia wants to know, Kadarian, what was your favorite game you played at Memphis?
I'm gonna give you 3 off the top of my head easily. One was my red shirt year. I actually didn't even play in that game, but it was still one of my favorites. We played Ole Miss. They had actually just knocked off Bama the week before, and they came to Memphis ranked 13th. And that was the year they had Chad Kelly, AJ Brown, like just a loaded team. Like, and we knocked them off. Fans rushed the field. Like,
Was that the year we opened with them? Yeah, I think we both played them that year.
Oh, that's crazy. Full circle moment. Oh, no?
No, it wasn't. That was 2015, I believe. Was it 2015?
I just remember it was Chad Kelly. Okay,
yeah,
my bad.
Yeah. So we opened with them on 2016. This was 2015.
Okay. Right.
I was wasted in a bar in Colorado.
My word. And you remember what does that say about me? I must have been somewhere else wasted.
Yeah. I was, and it was the same day that Florida State played Louisville and destroyed Lamar Jackson.
Yep.
I'm sorry we interrupted you, but
no, you're fine.
Sorry,
number 13, Ole Miss comes to Memphis.
Yep, that was that game. Second would be definitely College Game Day when SMU came to Memphis. That was College Game Day is an experience like no other. Like to experience that, that's just I don't know. It's just something you kind of grew up watching on TV and then never really thinking that they'd actually, be at your school and like us having the chance to walk through the set and, be a part of like the pre-show the day before and just that kind of whole experience. The game was insane. Another sold out stadium. Like it was just, top 5 for sure. And then probably number 1, definitely Cotton Bowl. That says it all. Like, and me being from Dallas and finishing my career in the Cotton Bowl in Dallas, like I couldn't ask for nothing better. So that's definitely my top 1.
Yeah, that was definitely fun. I have a Cotton Bowl t-shirt, but so answer me. Okay, for the game day, I was a little disappointed that it wasn't Penny doing the picking. It should have been Anthony Hardaway doing the picking, game day picking. How does that happen?
Okay, now this is a Memphis thing. I'm pretty sure you've probably heard it. There is I don't know if it's a bias. I don't know if it's a hate. I don't know what it is for Memphis athletics. Like from football to basketball, from the referees to the media, it is always something. Like our basketball team is 8-2 now, and they just got ranked 23rd today after 2 weeks of just impressive basketball.
I'm a Florida State.
So it's just like, but that's definitely how that happened. Ratings again. At that time, I think Penny was I don't want to speculate the wrong way, but I think there was a time of a little investigation about James Wiseman, so it could have had something to do with that.
It was that year.
Yeah, so that's probably why.
There's a name. My gosh, we thought we were getting him for a while at Florida State.
James Wiseman, really?
Yeah, he was. I think he was committed for like a year, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
Am I crazy about that? Somebody tell us in the chat. I know he was like, it was a big, like down to the wire. We thought we were getting him. Some people did.
I thought James Wiseman was, Tennessee fans were really hurt about that one. But they should be because that basketball program is nothing. Kind of like their football. Sorry, guys.
We make no bones about who we cheer for on this channel. That's for sure. And it's nothing orange or green, blue, that stuff. Only that Memphis blue. That's the only thing we'll talk on in a good light here on this show.
It's a better blue. It's not that ugly blue that they put with like the Florida orange and like. But I loved that game day. That was so fun. Unfortunately, I was pregnant for that game day. I didn't get to go, but I watched it on TV, and that looked like so much fun. I've never seen Coach Norvell looked so happy. You guys all looked so happy. Man. It was so cool. The fans showed up on Beale, like they did game day on Beale Street, George. I don't know if you watched that game. They did it on Beale Street. It was just wall to wall. It was crazy. And I think we lost him. His headphones go out after about an hour and a half sometimes. So he has to hook them back up.
Yes, I agree.
But it was so fun. I love those Memphis teams. And how do you feel about Silverfield right now? How do you think it's going? You can be honest. Memphis fans aren't going to watch it.
I love Silverfield. I do.
I do too.
I think he's the guy. I think it's tough right now because us Memphis fans have been spoiled.
Yeah.
We got out of the dark days and then got to the glory days, and that's kind of what we expect. And then the NIL is changing the game majorly. Like, it's hard to compete, you know. High school guys are gonna have to start coming to kind of like Memphis type schools now, because the bigger ones aren't looking for high schoolers anymore. They're looking for the portal guys.
Yep.
And the guys in the portal are looking for dollar signs and not necessarily schools. So it's just a tough. I think for what he's done while he's been there speaks enough for him to stay. Especially given, like I said, the circumstances as far as the NIL and, you know, the competition with recruiting and just maintaining players itself is becoming hard these days. Because you might get a guy that'll come to Memphis out of high school, do amazing the first 2 years, and then somebody offer him, you know, this amount of money, and now he's gone like that. So player retention is also something tough. But like I said, everything that's you know, kind of an obstacle for being a successful coach, I think he's kind of handling it as the best way he can.
Sorry, guys, I had a little glitch there. Had to pop out and pop back in. Make sure you guys, we're gonna be on here a little bit longer. You've got awesome Memphis wide receiver in here. Get your questions in. Anything about Mike Norvell, anything Florida State. Speak now, forever hold your peace, guys.
So do you still talk to Coach Norvell, or have you talked to him lately, or?
Yeah, I talked to Coach Norvell probably sometime right before the season started. Not too in depth, because like I said, he's so locked in, especially the time that I probably called him or text him. He might have been in a meeting, ain't no telling. But the chances that I do get to talk to him, Coach Johnson, Coach Storms, Coach Fuller, like when I do get the chance, like they take the time out. They know.
Oh yeah.
Like they're down to earth guys. Like they're never too full of themselves. Like those are people that you can definitely call on after you're done playing football. Like that's the relationship they develop and maintain with their players.
Now, do you ever come back to Memphis or no?
Actually, so I just moved from Memphis 2 weeks ago back to Dallas.
Oh, okay.
I graduated and stopped playing in 2019, and I stayed all the way up until 2 weeks ago of this year. So 8 years I spent in Memphis. Much longer than needed. But hey, no, definitely. I tell people that all the time. Memphis is a one-of-a-kind place, and
it really is.
You just kind of have to be there to understand, you know, what it is. But yeah, it's definitely a beautiful city.
So I don't know if you feel the same, but it's weird. You could be like at a Memphis basketball game, right? That's packed. You could have the CEO of FedEx sitting next to, you know, like a janitor worker, you know, at the FedEx Forum, and they'd be high-fiving, you know, over basketball. This city just is so different sometimes. And I always feel like people are wondering, why do you still live there? Because I just love it. It's so different. And the food is amazing. The food is amazing.
Yeah, their barbecue is almost as good as what we got in Tally. Almost.
Memphis barbecue is way better than Tallahassee barbecue. This isn't even close.
That was a lot weaker. That was a lot weaker of a reaction than I was expecting. We've got some idiots in the chat here. Well, actually, we've got a bunch of smart people taking up for us, but there's some Miami fan in here talking about Pat Payton's NIL getting paid and all this shit. Thanks for taking up for us, guys. Just ignore those.
They're busy.
They
you
don't
know,
what they're talking about.
They're trying to make their off-season championship banners, and so they're really busy right now. So
yeah, they got to get ready for the next one. It's like, whatever, leave us alone. Okay, Patrick Payton is getting paid. If he hits the portal or whatever at any point in time in his career, I can guarantee you it's nothing to do with anything this RQ guy, any information that he has brought to bear in the chat. But again, guys, get your questions in. We're going to be on a little bit longer. Are you a big recruiting guy? Are you a big like college football fan in that regard? Since
yeah, actually I am. I follow pretty much more of the top guys though, not just kind of a little bit of everybody, of course. I don't know if you guys have heard of DJ Bailey out of Texas, high school quarterback, #1 guy. No, DJ Lagway, excuse me.
Oh yes, yeah, we have.
So I heard Florida State is so
Florida. He's committed to Florida.
but hey,
Actually, I've heard USC has entered that chat.
Speak on it, Jen. So what? A&M and USC. They just named him the Gatorade Player of the Year today, I believe, as well.
I heard today that USC has entered that chat. Malachi has left, right?
Mhm.
USC has entered the chat for DJ Lagaway, and I do think Texas A&M is still in there. His family is friends with Mike Elko, right? Sort of. I mean, I think it was a relationship when he was the defensive coordinator at Texas A&M, and that's where he's from, obviously. But man, because Will Howard has not committed, George, has he? To USC?
No, the Will Rogers had, but not Will Howard. So
Will Rogers committed to Washington.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So
He has
Will
committed.
Howard has not committed to USC yet, even though everybody thought it was going to happen this weekend. That kid goes out, and Lincoln Riley's been on the phone. I'm just saying.
Encyclopedia said if Lagway commits to FSU, UF fans will burn Napier at the stake. My God. Look, I like to mess with my Florida people. They like to mess with me. They're constantly messing with me. I feel like it's the other way. For the past year, they have been hammering this recruiting thing. It's not even fun. I don't even want to pick on my Florida people. I hope you guys are doing all right out there. Don't do anything drastic. Show up to work tomorrow. Enjoy your family for Christmas. It's going to be okay. But yeah, if Lagway flips from them.
So I have a question, actually. How did Florida get into the SEC and Florida State's in the ACC? How did that work out?
That is a good question. Florida is old.
Yeah.
They've been around forever. They've been playing football for like 120 years.
Okay.
Don't get me to lying, but a long time, like literally over 100 years. So they were in it. I'm not even sure. I don't want to lie and say what year they got in it, but yeah, they were in it in the early years with the kind of original founding teams, I think. Florida State wanted to be in the SEC. They were independent and in some smaller conferences as they came up, but the SEC didn't want Florida State because UF was in there. I think UF was like, that was the thing for years and years. It's like, we've got the SEC. We don't. If FSU was in the SEC, UF would lose their whole thing. So you ended up, finally, the SEC came to Bobby Bowden in the late 90s, I believe, after he had won his titles. And they're like, come on, time for y'all to come to the SEC. And he's like, no, I'm staying. I'm good. I'm going to stay right here. When was it, Jen? It was in the early 90s, 92? 93, something like that.
They were independent. They were independent in the early 90s. And
I'm
they
talking
had a
about when
choice
the
over.
SEC, that's what I said.
They had a
when
choice.
The SEC came to offer, because he wanted to go in the SEC, they said no. But then in the 90s, at some period in time, they came to Bobby Bowden wanting us to go, and he turned them down.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember what year that was.
I thought you were saying that they or SEC told them no in the 90s, and that's not the case. The SEC wanted them in the 90s. Bobby turned it down because he was like, this conference is offering me this, and it'll be easier with a bunch of basketball schools in it. And he wasn't wrong.
For sure. It was they hold that SEC thing over our heads. It's one of those things. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's all pure marketing, but yeah, it just comes down to they didn't want us when we wanted them, and then when they wanted us, we didn't want them. It's just one of those things. We're all Fox. We can't. If you would understand if you like.
Yeah.
When you're a Florida State fan, I'm sure it's probably like this for Clemson fans. You're in the Southeast, so everybody else that isn't a Florida State fan basically is the SEC fan. So it's like non-stop with this. Oh, well, y'all can't win. And the whole thing about Bobby saying he didn't want to go, oh, well, y'all had a chance. Y'all knew y'all couldn't win over here. So it's just one of those things. We hate the SEC. That's why we're so much. Just get us in the Big Ten. I'd rather be in the Big Ten and keep kicking the SEC's ass out of conference. And
that's another thing. I don't. The Big Ten is so watered down, and it comes down to the same two teams every year. Like that cannot be enough on a resume. Like for against an undefeated Florida State. Like, come on, man.
It's not. And then, I mean, again, I'm going to be rooting for Michigan and I'm going to be rooting for Washington because I'm not rooting for one-loss teams. I can't bring myself to do it. No offense to Texas fans. I absolutely love you. I think you guys should have been the 4 seed. I'm not trying to say anything else. I'm just petty. I'm just petty. So Michigan, who I'm going to cheer for, and it's because, again, their colors look really good on my skin tone. So let's just keep going with that. But so for Michigan, they cheated their way in. Let's not lie about this. We know they did. They took the punishment. They agreed to it. They knew what they did. They stole signals for years, and they had to steal signals from University of Tennessee. Really? I think that should get you kicked out of the playoff by itself. Okay, but I'm just saying. So cheating your way in and losing your coach most of the season is fine. A player getting hurt of no fault of their own is not. I don't understand that. Cheating your way in is your choice. Your coach being missing is your choice. Losing a player is not. It doesn't make sense. And it's so antithetical to sports. I'm not letting this go, George. I'm just not going to do it.
No, we're not letting it go. How could we let it go? College football, no team is ever the same week to week. It's not same week to week. Like, that's just college football. That's how it happens. Our defense wasn't the same damn defense it was when Jordan Travis was quarterback by that point. And, it's a bunch of bullshit. This is what we got, guys. Get your questions in. I'm going to show this clip, and we got about another, we'll cut it off at 1:40. So I got about 9 minutes. But this is the best explanation.
Different team than they were through the first 11 weeks. Coach Norvell, their players, their fans, an incredible season. But as you look at who they are as a team right now, without Jordan Travis, without the offensive dynamic that he brings to it, they are a different team. And the committee voted Alabama 4 and Florida State 5.
That's a different team. And you look at the stats, better strength of record, like more like one of those had a loss. One had like 3-1 versus 3-0. There is no getting around it. The only difference in the two teams is one had a quality loss. It just happened to be against a playoff team, which is another team with a loss that you just put in the playoffs. They didn't win. Yeah, we don't have to give up on it. But it is what it is. Keep the pressure on them.
Like, where did key wins come from? As far as wins, like how many key wins did Michigan have this year?
Well,
One?
How do you think strength of schedule is created? That's where I have the issue, is because it's reporters sitting down at the beginning of the year, look at a bunch of SEC schools and say, we're going to rank them here, 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 here. That's your strength of schedule. You're making it up. It's subjective. Mm-hmm. Strength of record is what you're supposed to use based off of what teams you've beaten by how much versus what teams they've beaten by how much. That is what you should use. The strength of schedule is determined by ESPN reporters, sports writers, USA Today, all those idiots who can't play. They've never played. I'm a woman. I've never played football either. So I'm not about to sit here and tell a team, oh, you can't beat that one because my eyeballs tell me so. Can you imagine a female who's never played football ever being like, yeah, you can't win?
Yeah.
I'd be like, who are you talking? So most of these sports writers have never played the game. That's what bugs the crap out of me about the strength of schedule argument, because they basically make it up. They make it up at the beginning of the year. They look at teams and they say, what conference are you in? We're going to rank you here, 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 and here based off of last year. And that's not how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be the current year. That's why
Yeah.
strength of record is more important.
Yeah, there's no
Which
consistency. That's the issue. There's no consistency whatsoever. And Joey Two Guns, yeah, we're going to Fox 2025. It's happening.
yeah.
There's an announcement coming in the next couple months. But sorry, we didn't mean to cut you off there.
Oh no, Fox is definitely going to be big. I love Gus Johnson, and I can't think of the other guy name, but
Yeah,
oh
he's
man,
awesome.
that's going to be perfect.
Tim Brando. Are we talking
Oh
about Tim
man,
Brando? Tim Brando's he owns my heart right now.
yeah, that's a
Yeah,
duo
he's
right
been
there.
another one that has definitely had our back throughout this whole thing. But
He's
man,
on the nice list.
absolutely. We sure appreciate you coming in, man.
Oh yeah,
If nobody has any more questions, we're gonna I'll give you a little 1-minute rundown on what we talked about earlier on the show in recruiting, and then we're probably gonna get out of here. So if you have any questions, speak now or forever hold your peace. And thanks for joining us. Actually, man, do you have anything going on? Is there anything you want to plug? Is there anything you want to let the people know? Any kind of foundations or anything you're dealing with?
at the moment, not just yet. You can just give me a follow on Twitter, Uno Trace, and I'm pretty sure once things get to going how I planned and envision, that'll be where everything will be posted, and that's where guys can follow and see it.
Absolutely, and that's _Uno Trace on Twitter, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, y'all make sure y'all go follow my man, get his followers up there into the 6 digits. Let's see him up there. He's already got a ton of followers already. Let's keep it going. Appreciate the super chat from, man, you going to make me pronounce that? My last name's Georgitis, so you can't, I've heard this stuff.
Georgitis.
Yeah.
I got you.
So don't get me mad.
Georgitis.
Ryan Giacomin. Ryan well, that's got to be I'm a really spelling bee type person, but this is some different language that I don't know what those 3 letters do. So you'll have to hook on phonics.
Giacomin?
Yeah,
Okay,
I think it's Giacomin.
Sorry, man. We just all 3 of us butchered it, but you'll have to put the hooked on phonics in the comments for us.
Hey, my last name is Santi. So
yeah, he said, thank you for all the content. Go Noles. We sure appreciate you. Hold on. Nailed it the first time. Like the hockey player. Hey, let's go. Okay. Good deal. Man. So recruiting at the very beginning of the show. And my guy here talks about the big names. Number 1 safety in the land, KJ Bolden. He's a Nole, according to George, but
I think we're losing
Williams.
I don't think Williams is going to happen.
Amari Williams, same thing. There is a chance that Auburn could wreck our shit. You hate it, but it's like Hugh Freeze. He values players very similar to Norvell. I've kind of noticed over the years. It ends up being just the same guys they get after. And look, I have all the faith in Norvell. I don't think it's there's people talking about they could take like a whole group of players out of our class and stuff. I don't think that happens, but we're not going to bullshit you and tell you that there is no smoke out there. There is smoke. KJ Bolden, it could come down to the wire. The other big name, who's the other big name that I'm thinking of? Who were we talking about earlier? Jeremiah Smith. Do we get Cam Ward? I think if Cam Ward pops before Jeremiah Smith makes his announcement, Jeremiah Smith is ours. If Jeremiah Smith announces before Cam, a very good chance he sticks right there with Ohio State. But don't buy into that Miami bullshit. LJ McCray, he's one of these guys. Look, he's an attention guy. I love him. He's a badass player and stuff. But I think he's one of these people who he loves all the coaches. Like they all think they're getting laid, but we don't really know. Maybe they all are. We're not sure where he's spending the night. We'll see. I think it's between Florida and maybe Auburn, or even another school could pop up. I just don't see the guy coming to Florida State. I think he was trolling us when he did all that shit a few months ago when he originally committed to Florida. So that's it. The rest of the class, are there any names you're worried about flipping, Den? Is there anything all that Luke shit nonsense, the Cam shit was nonsense. That's all nonsense. But
I guess it's only KJ for me. and again, I don't even see that happening. So I just, I mean, I guess it could. I'm not trying to put my name on that because we all lived through Travis Hunter, but I trust the staff. And even if things happen, I think the staff has an ace up their sleeve. That's all I'm going to say.
I love it. I agree 100%. Well, guys, we appreciate you guys jumping on here with us. It was a blast. It was a blast having Kedarian on, even though I messed up his name at the beginning of the show. But we're not in person, so he can't knock me out of nothing over that. But we'll get it right next time. We really appreciate you for coming in. We appreciate all the fans.
Thank you.
Man, it's been a heck of a ride. Just, getting to build this show, getting to talk to people like Kedarian, man. Thanks again for joining us, and we will see you guys next time. I would play Tate Rodemaker dancing, but that thing got our last video demonetized, so no Tate dancing video. We're gonna have to find a good another TikTok trend to get up here for you guys. But we'll catch you guys next time, and go Noles.